I am presenting two works. One is a very large monumental sculpture, and the other is a hanging rawhide piece. That first piece, we played around with the possibilities of what it means to be a person of color in like a Zoom space, because the computer struggles sometimes with darker skin tones. And so I asked my fabricators to guess what my skin color was based on our Zoom calls. And so the first one's super dark. So for the Transamerica building, I was asked by Sohrab Mohebi and Ellen Grieg to do a show at Sculpture Center and at Chisenhale, and this was back in 2020, and so the pandemic was happening, and also in the UK at the time there was a groundswell of frustration around trans people and their rights, and the same thing was happening in the States. And I kind of thought it might be interesting if we had a building, if we had something that was ours. And I realized, I'm from the Bay Area, I'm from San Francisco, that we had one already. There was a building in the skyline called the Transamerica building. And I thought, oh, well, that's ours then, because it's called trans and I'm American, and that's that. So I took it and I used the form to make the sculpture. And then in that process, I ended up meeting some fabricators who had material that was old growth redwood trees, originally from California, that had become water towers in New York. And they were reclaiming that wood, and they were like, would you like to make your sculpture out of this? And I thought that was a really nice poetic cycle to kind of take something that was from San Francisco and put it in a different context again. Poetry is important in my practice because everything is in dialogue with what it is being called. And so this idea of naming something is a way to bind it and control it. And I think that something that's so interesting about being alive and being a person is that you can't fully describe what's going on or how you actually feel, but words are kind of the only thing that we kind of agree have this like baseline, like it has a meaning, we think. And I like to use language as my core medium because it doesn't actually have a meaning. Like everything is shifting and changing, and I think trans is a good example of that. It used to mean shipping and movement, and now it means person, and I think that that's quite cool. I think my practice is word-based, it's language-based, and that gives me a lot of freedom, I suppose, to say I kind of do whatever. I think if I were to define my practice, it's interested in the construction of the systems that control us. And I want to figure out how those systems came to be, and I also want to figure out how we take them apart. I don't know what will happen with the United States and with trans identity there. I think I'm a bit more of a private person than I may seem, but I also felt obligated as a trans person who has been well taken care of and well spoken to and had a really easy and nice transition to continue to say it over and over again. I'm trans, trans is normal, trans is good, we have buildings, we have things. Yeah, the state of transness in America is unfortunately bad, but it's occurring around the world as well. So we try and stay visible.